Hospital and healthcare CIOs face some interesting challenges introduced by COVID, as well as the rapid digitization of the environment these days. In a recent article from Becker's, there was a lot of discussion around healthcare and their consumption of the public cloud. In this video, I'm going to cover 3 interesting questions that I found related to this in order to hopefully provide some insight to healthcare CIOs that are out there. I'm Tori Jones, Principal Consultant at Greenlight. We help some of the nation's largest, most complex IT organizations manage their infrastructure, optimize costs, as well as reducing overall complexity in their environments. We do this through our SaaS-based IT management solutions that we classify as Greenlight's IT Operations Services. This is a SaaS-based solution that provides a number of technologies that help optimize as well as provide time to value to organizations looking to adopt the cloud infrastructures. Okay, let's get started. Is it time to expedite the public cloud adoption for healthcare providers? I believe absolutely the answer to this is yes. In fact, Gartner has an article that came out here about a year ago that articulates that by 2022, 75% of all healthcare organizations will have a public cloud strategy. If you don't have one now, it's time that you start thinking about that. There's been numerous challenges over the years of healthcare organizations trying to adopt the cloud, some of them being compliance related, some of them being personal information related, and it's caused a lot of hesitancy in the public cloud adoption by the healthcare organizations. But we need to get there. Many other organizations have clearly solved a number of those problems, whether it's in different industries, the financial industry, for instance, whether it's in North America, whether it's in Europe, Asia, these problems have been solved. So though the healthcare industry has some of these similar problems, they're problems that can be easily solved in that public cloud space. Can we be more secure in the cloud? Absolutely, right? We just talked about the compliance challenges that may be out there, but these are things that, again, can be easily solved. There's not a large gap in capabilities there. Another question we commonly get asked is about the financial benefit, right? The cloud leverages a pay-only-as-you-use model. So can we get benefit from that in the healthcare industry? Of course, healthcare can take advantage of this. One of the things that the public cloud brings is standardization. Over the years, healthcare organizations have acquired other organizations. They have merged. They have built their own. They have tried to standardize as much as possible. But let's be honest, that's a very difficult problem and will take a long time for everything to truly be standardized. The public cloud offers us a clean slate from a standardization perspective. Standard networking, standard infrastructure, standard APIs to consume that infrastructure and manage that infrastructure. And all of these things will make it much easier for organizations to consume that public cloud. All of that standardization gives the proverbial easy button to power on and power off infrastructure as needed. And that in and of itself will take things that used to cost tens of thousands of dollars to buy a server, rack and stack it, put it in, the data center. Now, suddenly you can have an easy button that gives you an infinite number of servers at your disposal that you can power on, power off, use as you need, only when you need them. And that's the key factor here. As long as things are getting turned down when they're used or when they're done being used, that's really the key to managing the costs and getting advantage of the pay only as you use model. Next question, last question I'll cover here in this short video. Is capital better utilized in services that are more core to healthcare systems than running brick and mortar data centers? I believe the answer to that is yes. Wouldn't you much rather be spending money on something that's going to improve end user experience, improve the patient experience, improve the doctor experience, improve the nurse experience, improve the staff and the administration's experience? Those are key things that will drive the healthcare industry moving forward, right? All of those consumers of the information technology organization, again, whether they're patients, doctors, nurses, administration, all of those consumers demand the things that the public cloud allows us to achieve. They demand information at their fingertips. They demand it faster, easier, more complete. They demand the sharing of information. All of these things are challenges in today's healthcare world. Of course, we would rather spend capital solving those problems than running traditional brick and mortar data centers. Again, another key reason to consider moving to the public cloud and putting together a strong public cloud strategy. Okay, things to watch out for. One of the key things to watch out for in a public cloud strategy is improper planning. As we all know, IT is squeezed for dollars and cents. We're asked to do more with less. We need to deliver on more projects with less resources. You need to provide the best possible experience, especially in these remote settings as we drive towards a value-based healthcare environment. These things, coupled in with the pandemic of the last couple of years, it makes it very challenging. So what should we watch out for? Right? Things like making sure that you have a cost management solution, cost management structure in place before you move to the public cloud. Don't just allow your developers to go run out there freely and start building cloud infrastructure. You will get the proverbial $100,000 a month bill and you're not ready for it. You then have to juggle finances internally to ensure that things get paid properly. Make sure you have a cloud cost management solution in place. It's one of the key things that we see successful organizations leveraging. Other things to look at the infrastructure management solutions that you're going to use in the cloud. They may not be the same that you use for your brick and mortar. If you use a legacy style system for your brick and mortar data center to manage events, to manage monitoring, to manage your help desk, those may not be the same that you use for your cloud operations. The cloud is different. It's not a brick and mortar. There's modern technologies that are out there. So if you're leveraging legacy systems in your data center, take a look at all the new technologies that have come out in the last number of years in this cloud space that are cloud native in order to optimize your consumption of the cloud. On that same line of thinking, don't go out and build your own cloud management platform. There's no need to. There's no reason to go out and buy a big chunk of software and bring it into your data center and stand it up. There's no reason to. There's plenty of platforms out there to help you manage the cloud in a whether it's a SaaS or a perpetual way, but you can consume it as a service to manage the cloud. So you come pre-packaged with integrations and pre-builds and things that are out there that you need to investigate in those platforms that are out there, those cloud native platforms, to provide services to your technicians in the cloud. So some may not be familiar with a cloud management platform. What is that? What types of things are we looking for there? We're looking for easy integrations to the major clouds, Amazon, Azure, Google Cloud, to quickly and easily deploy infrastructure. Furthermore, you're looking at management platforms that would give you the ability for you to decide which public cloud to deploy a given, let's call it application to. For instance, if you have a common 3-tier application that you need to stand up for testing, maybe today you want to run it in AWS, but maybe you need to do some testing and location-based testing that needs to happen, and maybe you want to consider running it over on Google Cloud. Your cloud management platform needs to have the ability to let you take that application signature, if you will, and deploy it to any cloud. Maybe you wanted to run it on premise for whatever reason. You wanted to integrate it onto your on-premise virtual machine infrastructure, right? Those are the sorts of things to be looking for. Predefined and easy provisioning of those predefined services is something else in these cloud management platforms that's very popular. Obviously, having a cost management aspect of things, being able to set budgets for different groups, for different teams, all of those things are very helpful in managing your costs. The other thing you want to pay attention to is how much are these cloud management solutions going to cost, right? If you spend $1 on cloud infrastructure, you don't want to be spending another $1 on managing of that cloud infrastructure. That just doesn't make sense because now that cloud infrastructure is costing you $2. So you want to be in a range. I've had recent conversations with Gartner in this topic, and it feels like somewhere in the 10 to 20% range of your cloud spend is what you should expect in these cloud management platform costs as you consume them from the SaaS market. I was working with a customer a number of years ago. They didn't have a cloud management platform. They wanted to deploy a modern day containerized environment out into the public cloud. They did their analysis. They looked at leveraging a Kubernetes platform. Everything there was going great from a technology perspective. The solution was meant to manage inbound connections coming from IoT devices. It was a medical device manufacturer. And they were expecting, tens of thousands of these devices to be generating data and generating inbound connections to this environment. Everything's great, grand, wonderful. We go to do the deployment. Day one, connections start coming in. Over time, what they realized is that the way that they architected the solution was not cost controllable. They didn't have a cloud management platform in place. They built everything by hand. They had lots of extra technical debt. They oversized things that they didn't need because they didn't leverage auto scaling capabilities of the platform to handle heavy load times. A number of things like that. And what they ended up with was a great big bill from the cloud provider that really set them back. They subsequently ended up cutting the size of the infrastructure and scaling back their timelines and missing some key deliverable dates for their business. It was something that could have easily been avoided had they leveraged some of these things to watch out for that I've been talking about. Cloud management platforms, having a cost control structure in place, those sorts of things definitely would have helped avoid the catastrophe that project ended up being. Another thing to watch out for, of course, has to deal with compliance, right? Everybody deals with it in the healthcare industry. There's compliance this, compliance that. It's a never-ending story. So how do we deal with that in a cloud environment? In the cloud environment, assuming you've taken some of the other pieces of advice and you have a standardized cloud environment, there are solutions out there that help you manage those things, that help you scan to determine whether or not you're HIPAA compliant, whether or not you're SOX compliant or PCI compliant, depending on your slant of healthcare, and the different compliance factors that are needed. These scans, these pre-definitions, they are out there. There are solutions that help manage those things. If you're interested in those, feel free to reach out. Let me know. In summary, as we've discussed over the last few minutes, many other industries have already adopted the cloud. A lot of industries are running in the cloud for a majority of their businesses. There's no reason why healthcare can't get there at the same pace. Mentioned earlier in the conversation, Gartner's stat around healthcare organizations having a cloud strategy by 2022. Majority of them will. Obviously, things to watch out for can be predefined as you go through your planning phases. That planning phase of cloud adoption for even a single project is critical, so you understand the pitfalls, what to watch out for, what to avoid as you go through that effort. That about wraps it up for me. Again, Tori Jones, Principal Consultant at Greenlight. Feel free, if you want to continue the conversation, to reach out to me directly. Be more than happy to pick up a phone and jump on a call to discuss.